They called him my online boyfriend, like a joke. At 7:42 p.m., Dad tapped his glass and asked the room if my imaginary date would be joining us. I checked the door, then my phone, 2 minutes out. With him. I didn't tell them who him was. Section 1, the private room, and the punchline, approximately 440 words. The restaurant had the kind of lighting that makes everyone look kinder than they are. White tablecloths. Frosted glass. A gold plaque on the door, Hawthorne Private. We were here to celebrate family, which meant celebrating my sister. Brianna's new management title. While grading my life like a group project, Mum set place cards around the U-shaped table, Brianna at the center, her fiancé to her right. My card near the service station where waiters disappear. Close to the kitchen, she said brightly. You like to help? Sure, I said, and slid my chair in. Brianna held up her bracelet for the third time. It's not a big brand, she said, making sure we knew it was. Laughter rippled. Uncle Pete asked if I was still working on the computer. I'm 29. A remote UX researcher for a software company called Redwood Atlas. My days are prototypes and field tests and video calls, with people whose names my family mispronounces on purpose. Any updates on your internet, man? Mum asked, pouring herself more Sauvignon Blanc than the glass wanted. Do we get to meet your avatar? His name is Alex, I said, steady. And yes, Dad tapped his glass. Folks, let's toast. To Brianna for being the planner and the stable one. He glanced at me and smiled, the way you smile at a volunteer. And to Jamie for being flexible. Flexible meant I was always available. Flexible meant nanny material last month when the sitter cancelled. Airport run last week because you work from home. Flexible meant they thought my life was a browser window that could be minimized. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments about which country you're watching this video from. Enjoy the story. Brianna leaned in, voice sugar with a sting. You've never actually met him, right? It's giving, catfish, cousin, Tessa snickered. Even the waiter flinched. I took a sip of water I didn't need. The phone in my lap buzzed once. Alex Fillet, 2 minutes. With Rog, another buzz. Rog. Looking forward to saying thank you to the person who saved up Q4. My heart did one clean, quiet kick. I had told Alex to meet us here because this room had a door you could knock. I hadn't told anyone that Rog Mehta, the CEO of Redwood Atlas, flew in to finalize a hospital pilot I'd shepherded from messy idea to signed contract. 5 months of late-night tests, patient advisory calls, and a prototype that finally let nurses do, in 3 taps, what used to take 13. Aunt Carol elbowed me. So what is he? A gamer? A crypto boy? An engineer? I said. We met in a research forum. Then we worked the same open source issue for 3 weekends and forgot to stop. AEW. Brianna so romantic. Maybe one day he'll be real. The manager slipped into the room and murmured something to our waiter, who nodded and looked at me. I nodded back. Dad lifted his glass again, amused at his own line. To Jamie's Wi-Fi fiancé, may the bandwidth be strong. They laughed, the door handle turned. The waiter stepped aside, and 2 men walked in, one with my online boyfriend's jaw and tired, happy eyes. The other was the CEO. The room did that thing where jokes fall off the table. Alex nipped in first dark jacket, wind in his hair, eyes finding mine like a landing strip. Behind him, Rog Matthias, the CIO, smiled at the room like he'd been warned it bites. Apologies for the interruption, Rog said, warm and quick. I'm Rog, we're only stealing 60 seconds. Silence. Forks paused above plates. Someone's water glass set down too hard. I stood. This is Alex Nguyen, I said, voice steady. And this is my boss's boss. Alex squeezed my hand, one press, not a show. Hi, he said, simple. Dad recovered first with a practiced laugh. So, the Wi-Fi fiance exists, he said, offering a handshake like a test. Alex took it, not failing. Brianna flashed her bracelet. We were just teasing, she said, sing-song thin. Congrats on logging in. Roger's eyes clicked to me, then to the table. Jamie, he said, using my name like a fact. I wanted to thank you in person before my red-eye. St. Eustace Health signed the pilot this afternoon. Your 3-tap flow won the room. The CNO literally said, if we had this last winter, my night nurses would have slept. Uncle Pete blinked. Chief Nursing Officer, I said, without looking away from Raj. He set a slim folder by my plate. Company letterhead. A single blue ribbon across the corner, like the kind you see on prizes. In here, the executed pilot, kick-off agenda, and a small thing we do when someone saves a quarter. He leaned in, lower. Open later. HR will ping you Monday, but I wanted you to have paper. Brianna laughed once, too bright. So you're here too. Congratulate our online situation. Raj didn't take the bait. I'm here because your sister's research pulled a hospital system through procurement in 5 weeks. He said, pleasant and pointed. That does not happen. We're going to tell that story at all hands. Mum found her voice, soft and public. Jamie has always been flexible, she said. She helps wherever she can. Raj smiled. She's been something else. Too in charge. He tapped the folder. This is the work of a lead. The waiter materialized with 2 extra place settings. Muscle memory. Raj lifted a hand. We're jumping, he said. Truly, 60 seconds. He turned to my father. Thank you for letting us interrupt. He meant it. He always sounds like he means it. Alex stayed. I can sit with Jamie for a minute, if that's okay, he said, checking my face, not the room's. Dad's eyebrows rose. You're not flying out with your boss? I'm local, Alex said. Moved last month for the rollout. We met long before that. His eyes slid back to mine. It felt like the only honest thing in a room full of polished fork tines. Raj shook my hand again. Kickoff call is Monday 9 a.m., he said. Bring the dashboard, you mocked up the one with the reachable alerts. He glanced at Brianna's bracelet and smiled a neutral, expensive smile. Congratulations on everything. Then he was gone, the door settling behind him like a question mark. Sound bled back in slow. Aunt Carol reached for bread she didn't want. Cousin Tessa whispered, "Oh my God," without vowels. The waiter poured water like it mattered. Dad cleared his throat. So, Alex, he tried. How do you two know each other? Beyond forums, Alex didn't blink. We fixed the same bug on a Saturday and argued about button states, he said. Then we started arguing about everything else and liked it. Brianna's laugh snagged. Still sounds online. Sometimes, the best things start that way, I said. Then they show up. Mum stared at the folder by my plate, like it was a test she hadn't studied for. What's the small thing in there? She asked. I ran a thumb along the ribbon. Later, I said, and slid it under my napkin. The manager peered in. Ms. Hart? He asked, meaning me. There's a brief delivery at the host stand. We can bring it after entrees. Brianna brightened. Flowers. From your avatar. Alex's mouth twitched. Not flowers, he said. A demo kit? If it's okay with the room, I promised Jamie we'd show you what 3 taps instead of 13 looks like. No pitch, just proof. Dad looked around, as if counting votes at his own table. He shrugged. After we eat, the waiter took orders. Conversations started up in low, confused threads. Under the table, my phone buzzed. Angela, HR. Raj asked me to drop paperwork by. Congrats, Jamie. Also check the back of the folder. There's a post-it. I slid a fingernail under the ribbon and felt the edge of a sticky note catch my skin. Across from me. Brianna watched like a cat at a door. I didn't open it, not yet. Entrees arrived, all ceremony and steam. Conversation flattened to knife and fork. Noises and glances that kept landing on the folder. Near my plate, the manager reappeared with a grey pelican case the size of a carry-on. Delivery for Ms. Hart, he said, setting it by my chair. Alex flipped the latches. Inside, a tablet, a wrist sensor, 2 adhesive patches, and a laminated card that read 13, gives 3. Clean, unshowy. Real. Dad leaned back, arms crossed. We're eating afterbites, Alex said. Easy. He waited. He didn't fidget. He knew time could work for him. Brianna twirled her bracelet, and tried a new angle. So, online boyfriend brings props, she said sugarwet. Adorable. I lifted the laminated card and held it where everyone could see. This is the old sequence, I said. 13 taps, 3 screens, 2 confirmation modal. Night shift nurses were missing steps. Not because they're careless, because the flow is. And now? Uncle Pete asked, despite himself. I tapped the bottom line. 3 taps. Alert, acknowledge, act. 1 screen. The waiter cleared plates like a stagehand. The room's hum pressed against the glass. Show us, Dad said finally. Shrug-King.Alex powered the tablet and angled it so Roa could see. Volunteer. He asked. Dark cousin Tessa's hand shot up, then hovered. What do I do? Pretend you're exhausted, Alex said. It's 3 a.m. patients, O2 dips. You have gloves on, and 5 other alarms in your head. He loaded the old flow first. She tapped, and tapped, and tapped. Modal. Scroll. Tiny button in the corner. She fat-fingered it and swore softly. 13 felt like a hike in dress shoes. Now the new one, he said, resetting. The 3-tap screen came up large, reachable targets, priority color, no burying the lead. Tessa tapped, acknowledge, silence to min, open order set. Done. She blinked. That's it. That's it, Alex said. The table tips just a degree. Uncle Pete said huh. Aunt Carol said oh. Dad said nothing, which was better than what he'd planned. Brianna tried one last jab. So your boss flies in to thank your forum's romance for making his job easier. Alex didn't look at her. I didn't touch the research, he said. Conflict rules. Jamie ran the studies. I moved pixels and wrote code anyone here could read. Her work made the room say yes. Mum's fingers went to her wineglass, then stopped. Helps people, she said, like she wasn't sure she was allowed to admit it. It helps the people who help people, I said. That's the point. Under my napkin, my thumb found the edge of the ribbon on the folder. HR's text flashed in my head, check the back. I slid the folder halfway open on my lap. A yellow sticky note clung to the inside like it had been waiting for oxygen. Draft due, not announce at dinner was scrawled at the top. Angela's handwriting, laughing at me. Beneath it, typed lines. Title change, effective January 15th, lead UX researcher comp AGI, plus $18,000. Base equity refresher, Grantlhan's story slot, 3 taps. HR will call Monday. Don't let them make you small. Heat climbed my neck, not panic. Oxygen.I closed the folder and slid it back under the napkin. Not yet, the manager stepped in again, hands behind his back. We have a short video queued, with your permission, he said. Eyes on me. Mr. Mehta forwarded it from the hospital, Brianna sputtered. He's texting the restaurant now, I nodded. 30 seconds, I said. The frosted glass screen at the end of the room went from decorative blur to picture. A woman in scrubs filled the frame mid-50s, badge reading CNO, St. Eustace. She spoke like she was late, and didn't have time for fluff. Night nurses are drowning, she said. This flow throws them a line. Jamie, your team did what our vendors keep promising. Thank you. See you Monday. It cut to black, no one clapped. They didn't need to. Silence did the job. Dad lifted his glass, slower this time. Well, he said. Seems solid. It was his language, for I was wrong. Mum touched the edge of the pelican case, like it might bite. I teased you about your online life, she said. I didn't realize the room on the other side of the screen looked like this. It looks like work, I said. And people. Brianna's fiancé cleared his throat. So, he tried performing magnanimity. Congratulations to both of you. Alex smiled without teeth. To your promotion too, he said to Brianna. Easy and disarming. Leadership clubs are bigger than we think. The waiter set down dessert menus. The manager gave me a small nod like we're clear. I rested my palm on the folder again. The ribbon felt like a boundary I'd drawn and could keep. After dessert, I said to the room, I have one more thing that's not a demo. Brianna arched an eyebrow. Flowers, after all. I shook my head. A rule. For me. For this table. The door eased shut on its hinge. And the last laugh I'd swallowed since 7:42 finally dissolved into something else steady, exact, waiting its turn. Desert menus landed like little white flags. Nobody waved them. I slid the folder deeper under my napkin and stood just enough to be heard. One rule, I said, steady. For this table. For me, Brianna smirked. Finally, house rules from the Wi-Fi fiancé. I didn't look at her. Facts, not labels. If someone makes a person small, online boyfriend, flexible, not real, they put $20 in a bowl. Tonight, the money goes to night nurse relief at St. Eustace. I'll match whatever lands. After tonight, the rule stays. Different dinner. Same rule. Dad leaned back. We're not doing jars and fines at a restaurant. The manager appeared like a stage cue, holding a short glass bowl from the bar. If you'd like a vessel, he said neutrally. The rim caught the light. He set it near my plate and retreated like a pro who'd seen families invent worse traditions. Alex kept his voice soft. I'll start, he said, pulling a 20 and folding it once. He dropped it in clink. For every time I stayed quiet in a room where Jamie was treated like tech support instead of lead, silence adjusted its tie. Mum's eyes fell to her napkin. We were teasing, she tried, weak. Teasing pays the jar, I said. Facts don't. Brianna breathed a laugh through her nose, reached into her bag, and flicked a bill like a trick. Fine, she said. Clink, for Wi-Fi, fiance, and for assuming demos are props. Uncle Pete blinked, then sighed like a man accepting a new traffic law. Clink, for Crypto Boy, my bad. Dad's mouth flattened. This is dramatic. Boundary, I said. Not theater. He looked at the bowl, then at me. He reached into his wallet, pulled out a 20 like it was heavy, and dropped it in without commentary. Clink. The manager tapped lightly on the door, and slipped in with a small sealed envelope. From Mr. Mehta, he said, setting it by my water. I opened it. One line on company letterhead. We'll match the jar up to $1,000. Use code 3TR. I set it by the bowl where everyone could see. The desert menus finally found courage. Orders went in. Spoons arrived. The room's shape change still tense, but aired out. Mum touched the rim of the bowl, then pulled her hand back like it was hot. I called your life online like it meant pretend, she said, voice small. I didn't bother to learn what the room on the other side looked like. She slid a bill in clink. For every time I did that, Alex exhaled. I could feel him not grabbing my hand, which was the same as holding it. My phone buzzed under the napkin. Angela HR, congrats again. Last thing promo slate locked. Monday Another vibration, a calendar invite. All hands 3 taps. Jamie Hart, lead UX researcher, Autodash accepted. I didn't open the folder. Not yet. The sticky note inside could wait its turn. Deserts landed. Brianna's fiance broke the tension on purpose. If the jar buys coffee for night shift, he said, put me down for 2. He dropped 40. Clink, clink, 3. Aunt Carol said, surprising herself, clink, clink, clink. Mum lifted her glass. Not for a toast, more like a white flag turned into something else. Facts, she said, testing the word. Fact, you built a tool a hospital wanted. Fact, a CEO walked into dinner to say thank you. Fact. She looked at Alex, then at me. He's here, and he's real. No one laughed. The bowl answered for us. Brianna's bracelet flashed as she turned the laminated 13 gives 3 card over in her hands. Does the rule apply to me? She asked, trying to make it a joke and failing. It protects you too, I said. No more stable versus flexible like wear categories at a pet store. You get facts. I get facts. Nobody gets small. She looked down, then nodded once tiny. Real. Dad cleared his throat, softer this time. What's the other thing, after dessert? He asked, not challenging. Curious, almost careful. I rested my palm on the folder. The ribbon's edge pressed a line in my skin. A fact, I said. Mine to share, paper to prove it. The manager dimmed the lights a notch as creme brulee cracked under spoons. Outside, a rideshare idled and left. Inside, the bowl held the sound of labels paying rent. Under the napkin, the sticky note waited with its loud little secret. And for the first time all night, I felt the room ready to hear it. I slid the folder out, broke the blue ribbon, and turned it so the table could see. Facts, I said. Not labels. The sticky note sat on top like a drumroll. Draft due, not announce at dinner. I peeled it back anyway. Below. Crisp type, title change January 15th. Lead UX researcher base adjustment, plus $18,000. Equity refresher Grantal Hands story slot. 3 taps HR, Monday 10a.m. No flourish. Just the room learning a new word for me. Dad squinted, then leaned closer. Lead, he read. Slowed, it sounded like he was testing a stare. Mum set a fingertip on the line that said equity and looked up fast, like it might vanish if she blinked. This is real, she said, softer than wine. Brianna glanced at Alex, then at me. Her laugh didn't make it to her mouth. So the online thing wasn't a phase. It was a start, I said. We built work. Then we showed up. Alex didn't squeeze my hand this time. He didn't have to. He sat a half-inch closer. The way you do when a room finally stops pushing someone back. The manager returned, as if he'd been listening from behind the frosted glass. Do you want me to tally the bowl? He asked. Yes, I said. Please. He counted fast, neat stacks. $360, he said. And Mr. Meta's match brings it to $720. We can process the donation and email a receipt. Do it, Dad said, before I could. He cleared his throat. I'll make it $1,000 clean. He added 2 more 20s, and then, without looking at anyone, slid his card across the table. Run the difference. Clink. Aunt Carol added a tent and a smile that looked like relief. Uncle Pete tossed in a 5 with a mutter that sounded like okay, okay. Cousin Tessa dug for singles like a student and said, I want to buy a nurse coffee, bright with sudden purpose. The manager nodded. Night nurse relief done, he left, efficient as a good interface. Silence didn't feel like a punishment anymore. It felt like space. Mum lifted her glass, not performative this time. Fact, she said, voice steadying. I called him your online boyfriend like pretend. Fact, he walked in with a CEO. Fact. She looked at Alex. He showed up. Alex gave her a small, decent smile. I like your daughter, he said. And I like the work we do together. Brianna toyed with the laminated 13 gives 3 card, tracing the arrow with a nail. If I say I was a jerk, she asked, does the jar cover back pay? It covers tonight, I said. Back pay is sitting through my all-hands talk without heckling. She huffed a laugh she didn't hate. Deal. Dessert arrived, broly crack, coffee, steam. The bowl stayed in the center like a candle you could hear. I tucked the promotion letter back into the folder and set it by my plate. One last thing, I said, because I had learned to finish the work. The rule doesn't stop when we leave. If you forget, the bowl remembers. We can keep one at home. We can put one at my place. I'll match the jar whenever it fills, and we'll keep sending it to night shift. Dad nodded like a man grateful for instructions. Jar at the house, he said. Done. Mum took a breath, and next time you need me to learn something before I tease it, tell me. I don't want to be late to your life. Okay, I said, and meant it. But I'll still send you a link. She smiled, not for the room. Send to. Alex glanced at the time. I should walk Roger's kit back to the car, he said. Then, I'd like to take Jamie for a walk, if that's okay, just outside 10 minutes. Dad looked like he might make a rule. Then he remembered he'd made enough. Go, he said. We'll settle up. We stood. The room wobbled not from wine, from the new shape of it. As we reached the door, Mum stood too. Jamie, she called. I turned. I'm proud of you, she said. It sounded like a sentence she'd practiced, and finally meant. Outside, Winter Airbit and gave City Lights did their soft brag. Alex tucked the Pelican case under his arm and fell into step beside me. You good? He asked. I am, I said. You? He nodded at the window where our family moved around the jar and the bill. That was a good demo, he said. Thanks, I said. Yours too. We laughed, the easy kind. My phone buzzed. Angela HR. Ignore the do not announce. That was me being superstitious. Rog already told the board. Monday, we'll make it loud. I slid the phone away. One more fact, I said. Half to Alex, half to the air. I'm not flexible. I'm in charge. He bumped my shoulder with his. Copy that. Led back inside. The manager handed Mum a receipt. $1,000 to night nurse relief, code 310. The bowl was empty again, which felt exactly right. They had snickered at my online boyfriend. He entered with the CEO. We left with a donation receipt, a promotion letter, a rule that pays for coffee at 3 a.m., and a table that learned to speak in facts. That's how rooms change. One tap, then another, then the one that opens the right door.